Hi dear friends and subscribers, welcome to this cricket happening show today. And in this particular cricket happening show we are going to look at two matches. First one was, as I said yesterday, West Indies had to actually win the final one-day international to square the series. Yes, they did it, and they did it in grand style because they put up their highest ever total in a one-day international for West Indies. In fact, the previous highest was 360 runs that they made against Sri Lanka, but yesterday they made 363, and it was a superlative effort from West Indies. And considering the fact that they were absolutely depleted, one has to really commend them for their superlative batting, which was definitely the tone of set. I will be talking about that. In fact, the feature was Kirk went on to hit his maiden one-day century. He had an unbeaten 123, and the captain of West Indies, Dwayne Bravo, cracking 106 of 81 balls with 12 fours and 3 sixes. Now, as far as and for New Zealand, this particular this total proved absolutely beyond them, and they really succumbed to the West Indies bowling, and they were all out for 160, and in the end it was a huge victory for West Indies by 203 runs, and they also squared the one-day international series against New Zealand, and it stood at 2-2. And for West Indies, as I said, not only did they make the highest ever score in one-day internationals, but they also put up the highest ever partnership for any wicket against New Zealand, with 211 runs being added by Kirk and Dwayne Bravo for the fourth wicket, after West Indies were 143 for 3 when Lendl Simmons departed. And after that, this score really gave a sort of a thrust to this West Indies total, and that's the reason they reached 363. Well, dear fans and subscribers, unfortunately I'm having a problem with my throat today. I'm a bit sore there, but you know, cricket is so dear to me, I can never ever miss it. And as dear fans and subscribers, the reason that I'm here is only because of you, dear friends and subscribers, because you are the ones who actually make this show a great success, and I'm really overwhelmed by the good success that I'm having. I'm also happy with one of the Cricket Club Expo actually mentioning me in one of my tweets, and I'm really glad that you did, and thank you very much for that. Well, so that is the fifth one-day international. So West Indies have drawn the fifth one-day, I mean the one-day international series in grand style here at Seddon Park in Hamilton. And as far as the first day's play was concerned between Pakistan and Sri Lanka in Dubai, it was the second test match. As you know, this was the first day of the second test played at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Well, contrary to expectations, yesterday the talk was all about Dubai being a spinner's wicket, but definitely both the teams surprised by not including a spinner, on the other hand going with their seamers, and that's what did. And Sri Lanka also did the same by not having even Sachitra Senanayake, in fact dropping Sachitra Senanayake from the team and going for a three-pronged pace attack. And finally that was the one which actually did the trick for Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka winning the toss, what they did is they inserted Pakistan into bat, and Pakistan were absolutely, I would say, absolutely demoralized there, because the Sri Lankan pacers were the one who actually did the damage, with the wickets being shared by Suranga Lakmal, Shaminda Ranga, Numan Pradeep coming back into this Sri Lankan team, and they got Pakistan all out for 165 on the first day itself, and Sri Lanka in reply were 57 for 1 at close of play on the first day of the second test match, which was played at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Well, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off with the fifth one-day international between New Zealand and West Indies. This was a toss which was won by actually New Zealand were the ones who actually won the toss, and on this particular pitch at Seddon Park in Hamilton, New Zealand decided that it was a bit surprising because the pitch was very flat, short boundaries, and New Zealand decided to insert West Indies, and West Indies took immense advantage of it. They were absolutely determined right from the word go, with Kieron Powells really sending making a statement there with his powerful hitting. In fact, he was so good that the West Indies were off to a flyer. In fact, they put 95 runs in 12 overs. thanks to Kieron Powell, who smashed 73 runs, the opener, coming to the West Indies team, making 73 runs of 44 balls with 12 fours and 2 sixes, and he was pretty good off the back foot as well as the front foot, and his driving was absolutely classical. It was a real pleasure to watch Kieron Powell drive, and one of the cover drives that he did was an absolute gem. On the other hand, Johnson Charles, normally a very aggressive partner, basically because of his form being pretty awry in this particular series, Johnson Charles was playing second fiddle. Kieron Powell was smashing the ball all round. In fact, let me tell you, it was not really smashing, it was all perfect cricketing strokes being played by Kieron Powell. His driving was impeccable, he was pulling the ball, he was nicely cutting the ball, and he was getting all the runs. In fact, the New Zealand bowlers were absolutely under the pump. Tim Southee was absolutely rattled. McClenaghan was taken for runs. Nathan McCullum was smashed. He was lofted for sixes. And in fact, it was Kieron Powell who actually sent Tim Southee over the pickets for a six. He sent McClenaghan for a six. And doing so, Kieron Powell, as I said, the innings of West Indies was really going away like a train, and it was looking very difficult for the New Zealand bowlers to actually control Kieron Powell. Johnson Charles, on the other hand, was playing second fiddle, and then finally the breakthrough came in the form of Nathan McCullum, who bowled to Kieron Powell, and Kieron Powell, trying to sweep a delivery which was on the stumps, was adjudged LBW. So that was the first wicket, and what a relief. In a score of 95 for 1, as I said, Kieron Powell was the one who actually really set the tone in this fifth and final one-day international. And Kieron Powell went on, what to say, tremendous strokes. It was really classic to watch Kieron Powell, because it was all absolutely perfect technique being employed when he actually played those strokes. And his knock was 73 of 44 balls with 12 fours and 2 sixes. And West Indies in 12 point, if you look at it, 12-6 in 73 deliveries. 73 deliveries is bowled, and out of that, Kieron Powell had a runnable stuff. He had 73 to his name of 44 balls with 12 fours and 2 sixes, and he already departed LBW bowler Nathan McCullum with a score on 95. Johnson Charles continued there, and after that there were 2 quick wickets which fell, with Johnson Charles being run out for 31 of 45 balls with 4 fours, and Lendl Simmons trying to cut a ball past the point area, but Williamson was waiting for the catch with the bowling of Anderson. He was gone for 9, and West Indies suddenly, from a position where Kieron Powell had given them a good start, were looking at 143 for 3 in the 24th over, but Kirk Edwards was there at the crease, and in came the West Indian captain, Dwayne Bravo. Both of them joined hands, and well, what they did is they first started rebuilding the innings. They had to do that because the score was 143 for 3, absolutely the halfway mark. And look at the damage that they did after that. First they rebuilt, they took their time, and once that was over, it was absolutely clean stroke making from both the batsmen. As far as Kirk Edwards was concerned, Kirk Edwards went on in his merry way. In fact, he was not looking at any trouble. As I said, the pitch was playing very easy, and the ball is nicely coming onto the bat, so it was easy to play the strokes, and also the boundaries being short, that made it all the more easy. And Kirk Edwards, as I said, the picture of a real class there again. After Kieron Powell, I thought Kirk Edwards played with lots of class. He was also hitting some powerful strokes down the ground. He hit some beautiful sixes. In fact, he lofted them beautifully, and his customary shots where it was fetching him lots of runs was on the onside, but his driving was superb, and really, let me tell you, Kirk Edwards was really growing in confidence with the company of Dwayne Bravo, the West Indian captain. And West Indian captain has said he has not done anything wrong in this series. He has motivated the team like anything. He has brought the team spirit to the fore, and Dwayne Bravo was looking very, very good. He was playing his customary shots, the shots that he plays when he drives. It looks a real picture. And what it did is it actually ended up in a very huge partnership. In fact, they were the ones who actually enabled West Indies to finish off on a high at 363 for 4. As I said, this was the highest ever score, highest total put by a West Indies team in a one-day international. and it also saw Kirk Edwards. Not only that, it also saw the highest ever partnership by West Indies for any wicket against New Zealand by putting on 211 runs for the 4th wicket, and they also broke the existing record which was standing in the name of exterior batsman, the best opening pair to actually grace the West Indies cricket. It was Gordon Greenidge and Desmond Haynes who had put on 192 for the 1st wicket. Kirk Edwards' maiden century looking beautiful. I mean, his innings was absolutely built in wonderful fashion. He was looking absolutely superb. And look at what he did. He got his maiden ODI century. He was still there at the end, unconquered on 123 of 108 balls with 12 fours and 4 sixes. Dwayne Bravo continued his form, and he also went on to his 2nd century. But well, dear fans, friends, subscribers, everybody would be surprised at one statistics that I'm going to shoot out to you. Dwayne Bravo, having played 154 one-day internationals, has just got his 2nd one-day international century. That's absolutely difficult to believe. At least I am finding it difficult to digest that Dwayne Bravo, after playing 154 one-day internationals, has just set two one-day centuries to his name. And Dwayne Bravo went on to make 106 of 81 balls with 12 fours and 3 sixes, was a victim of Williamson. Andre Russell was not out on 6, and 363 for 4, a princely total being put in by the West Indies. Look at the damage they did to these New Zealand bowlers. Tim Southee carted 10 overs, none for 64. McClenaghan taken to the cleaners, 8 overs, went for 64. Nathan McCullum really pasted 10 overs, 64 runs on 1 wicket. Corey Anderson was the costliest. His 10 overs cost him 77 runs and a wicket. Kyle Mills, 8 overs, went for 60. Kane Williamson, 4 overs, no maiden, 1 for 30. And the West Indies batsmen caned the New Zealand bowlers to all parts of the ground on a very, very easy pitch, and that enabled them to reach the highest ever score in one-day international cricket. As far as New Zealand were concerned, they found the pressure too much, and look at what the West Indian bowling did. First the batsmen delivered, and then the bowlers delivered the goods. Jason Holder, 5 overs, no maiden, 2 for 35. It was Dwayne Bravo himself having bowling a gem of a delivery. In fact, he was the one who actually gave them the breakthrough by getting a ball to actually come in and actually snake in between the bat and pad of Martin Guptill and shatter his stumps. And Guptill was gone, bowled by Bravo for 6 of 10 balls, no 4, 21 for 1 was New Zealand. After that, Dwayne Bravo and then Nikita Miller, the left-arm spinner, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 4 for 45, the most successful bowler. Sunil Narine was wicketless, 5.5 overs, no maiden, none for 31. Andre Russell, on his entry into the West Indies team in the one-day international series, got 2 wickets for 31 runs. As far as New Zealand were concerned, the 160 all out, they found the pressure of the 363 quite enormous, and also it required somebody like Corey Anderson to slam the fastest ever century in one-day international cricket, which he did. But today it was not Corey Anderson's day, and New Zealand himself was struggling. The wickets started falling. Guptill was out for 6 of 10 balls. J.C. Ryder was gone for 17 of 15 balls with 2 fours. And then Kane Williamson was LBW bowled, Holder for 16 of 21 balls with 2 fours. Ross Taylor failed, he was out for 9. Brendan McCullum was holed out into the deep, out for 6 of 14 balls. Corey Anderson Corey Anderson incidentally was the highest scorer, making 29 runs of 24 balls with 4 fours. But it definitely required a sort of that record century that Corey Anderson did the other day. But those pyrotechnics couldn't come in today, because the West Indies bowlers were absolutely equal to the task, and they found to it that the New Zealand batsmen definitely succumbed under the big pressure they were into after chasing the highest ever score put up by West Indies in one-day international cricket. Luke Ronchi was out for 15, Nathan McCullum contributed 18, Carl Mills was out for 26, the second highest scorer, ran out for 26. And that was it. And the 5-match series, the 5-match one-day international series between New Zealand and West Indies ended with a 2-2 draw, and West Indies have to be commended. Dwayne Bravo, the captain of the West Indies team, was named man of the match. I was a bit surprised at that. Probably Kirk Edwards would have been my pick, but well, they went for Dwayne Bravo, probably for his very important wicket that he took on Martin Guptill, absolutely at the start of the innings. And one thing that I would like to say here, dear friends and subscribers, is that West Indies have to be commended. They didn't have Chris Gale, they didn't have Kieron Powells, They didn't have Marlon Samuels. The cream of the West Indies crop was not there. Ravi Rampal was not there. And even with this particular team, West Indies have managed to put up their highest ever score in one-day international cricket, which is something absolutely commendable. And looking at what they have done, I think this West Indies reserve talent needs special mention. They need special credit. They have to be really, really commended for what they did to New Zealand yesterday. Well, congratulations to the West Indies for drawing the one-day international series against New Zealand 2-2. And please continue in that big way now in the T20s which are coming up in New Zealand. Now let's go on to the second day's play in the match between Pakistan and Sri Lanka, which was played at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. As I said, contrary to expectations, where probably one thought Dubai has always helped the spinners, and one would have probably thought that Pakistan would go with left-arm spinner Abdul Rahman and Sri Lanka would be going with Sachitra Sen and Naik right-arm spinner, all Dilruwan Pereira. But all those hopes were gone. One does not know what was the reason. Both the captains, the Pakistani captain Misbah-ul Haq and Sri Lankan captain Angelo Matthews, decided to go with pace. Probably the veneer of grass which was there on the pitch probably prompted them. But I thought finally one has to really say that that was good judgment by both the Pakistani and the Sri Lankan captains, because look at what it did. In fact, Sri Lanka won the toss and they decided to actually insert Pakistan. And Pakistan, well, the first wicket to go was Nuwan Pradeep was the one who gave them the breakthrough. Nuwan Pradeep came in and he got a ball. Nuwan Pradeep was pretty good as far as in-swinging deliveries were concerned, and that was what actually enabled the breakthrough. Nuwan Pradeep breaking into getting the ball to nip in, and Ahmed Shahzad was trapped in front. LBW bowled Pradeep for 3, made it 28 for 1, and then after that Kieron Manzoor was joined by Mohammad Hafiz, and Mohammad Hafiz, after being dropped by Mahela Jayawardene, who actually split his webbing on his right finger and went for x-rays, and he had to take 3 stitches on that. And Mohammad Hafiz was the next to go. Nuwan Pradeep once again providing them the double breakthrough. After Kieron Manzoor and Mohammad Hafiz had done all the hard work, they had taken Pakistan to lunch at 57 for 1, and they were looking pretty good. They were placed very well at 78 for 1 before Nuwan Pradeep's another in-swinger got the better of Mohammad Hafiz as he went on to crash into the stumps between the bat and pad gap of Hafiz. He was gone for 21 with 4 fours, which made it 78 for 2. After that, the Sri Lankan bowlers absolutely held sway. In fact, if you look at it, Pakistan totally collapsed. But in that collapse, when they saw the collapse was happening with the wickets just tumbling, in fact, Yunus Khan and Misbah-ul Haq were actually victims of Shaminda Iranga. As I said, this pitch, what one saw, because of the grass which was left on the pitch at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium, what it did is it started giving good assistance to the bowlers to actually get the ball to move about, and there was good bounce in the pitch. And that was the Shaminda Iranga is always a bowler who actually hits the deck pretty hard, and that's what precisely happened. He picked up 2 important wickets. First, he picked up the wicket of Yunus Khan for 13 with a ball that went away from him, and Yunus Khan was guilty of playing away from the body. He was gone for 13 with 1 boundary, and Misbah-ul Haq almost a similar situation where the ball went away from him, caught by Prasanna Jayawardene behind the stumps of Iranga for 1, and that made the score 109 for 4. And Kieron Manzoor was the highest. In fact, Kieron Manzoor was under real pressure because he would have also probably lost his pace, and probably one thought Shan Masood might be getting into this particular test match. But it was not to be. They persisted with Kieron Manzoor, and Kieron Manzoor delivered. In fact, in a total of 165 all out, as I said, Pakistan totally collapsed with the splendid bowling by the Sri Lankan bowlers. Kieron Manzoor, well, he definitely did a wonderful thing for himself by being the highest scorer, making 73 runs with 7 fours and 1 6. And then it was the turn of Suranga Lakmal to come in. One by one, the Sri Lankan bowlers started coming to the party. Suranga Lakmal came in and picked up Asad Shafiq for 6. Sarfraz Ahmed, the wicket keeper, was also gone, this time to Nuwan Pradeep for 7. And then after tea, it was the turn of the spinner, left-arm spinner Rangana Herath to come and clean it up. He picked up all the wickets of the tailenders, and Pakistan all out for 165. but in between that, Bilawal Bhatti stood out and stayed till the end with an unbeaten 24 to his name with 3 fours and 1 6, and Pakistan were rolled out for 165 by the Sri Lankan bowlers. Absolutely tremendous stuff from the Sri Lankan bowlers today. Lakmal 21 overs, 6 maidens, 45 runs and 2 wickets, bowled superbly. Shaminda Aranga got the prize cards of Misbah ul Haq and Yunus Khan, 14 overs, 4 maidens, 25 runs and 2 wickets. Nuwan Pradeep coming and making a good comeback and giving them the double breakthrough, 18 overs, 2 maidens, 62 runs and 3 wickets. And Rangana Herath finishing off the tail, 10.5 overs, 3 maidens, 3 for 26. As far as Sri Lanka were concerned, they started off well. They got a good partnership going. The opening partnership once again, like what they did in the first test, started blossoming. But as it was blossoming, Kaushal Silva was looking very, very good. Karunaratne was the one who was actually playing the strokes, stroking the ball with gay abandon. But just towards the close of play, Junaid Khan, who actually bowled a testing over to Karunaratne by testing him on a consistent basis outside the off stump, got a ball which actually nipped in, and Karunaratne was wrapped on his back pad and he was adjudged LBW. So that was the only wicket that Sri Lanka lost. Karunaratne LBW bowled Junaid Khan for 32 with 7 fours, and that score read 40 for 1. After that, Sri Lanka slowly saw it off towards close of play, with the light being a bit of a concern, because the light was not really good for play at the time, and the umpires deemed that the play wouldn't be possible. And 8 overs before close of play, if you look at it, after 16 overs were bowled by Pakistan to Sri Lanka, the play was called off for the day with 8 overs still remaining, and Sri Lanka were replaced at 57 for 1 at that stage. That is at close of play on the first day of the second test match played at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Kaushal Silva was looking good looking compact, not out on 12, not in any trouble at all. And Kumar Sangakkara, as usual, just staying there, not out on 12 with 1-4. And what was good was that Kumar Sangakkara's, he watches the ball till the last moment, and that was what precisely enabled Sri Lanka to finish at 57 for 1. Junaid Khan was excellent with his bowling, 7 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 26. Rahat Ali, I was a bit surprised that Rahat Ali was given an opportunity, because I never thought Rahat Ali would play in this game. But again, he bowled well, 7 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 28. We saw some spin there from Syed Admal, just 1 over, which ended in a maiden, and Bilawal Bhatti bowled 1 over for 2 runs. So I think Sri Lanka, Pakistan have that task really cut out on the morrow, because it is going to be, I think Sri Lanka would realize that it's a matter of just staying at the wicket, showing some dedication. I thought, as far as Pakistan batting was concerned, their technique left much to be desired, unfortunately. So only Pakistan can blame themselves for being all out for 165. And Sri Lanka probably would like to take it on the morrow and start dictating terms to Pakistan tomorrow. Well, I think that's another good day coming up as far as the Dubai International Cricket Stadium is concerned tomorrow. Well, dear fans, friends and subscribers, once again, thank you very much for the tremendous response that you've been showing to this Cricket Happening show, which makes it a great success. And I would like to end the cricket show for today, and promising you that this Cricket Happening show will be up tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye from your host Ram. Thank you.